So last night I was looking up something about what it means to be seeing red. And it's kind of that idea of like all or nothing. And it made me really, it sat on my mind thinking about how whenever I feel stuck or lost or chaotic, it's usually because I'm in that feeling. Why I'm in that feeling, whose energy it is, where I'm at, all those other things have played into my mind way more than I would like to spend time doing, because it really just comes back to that. Like, is that the vibration that I actually want to be harmonizing out of? So, it doesn't really matter who's around me and what they're projecting at me if I can build a nice wall around myself and understand where I'm at in my own position. And so then I saw this in my videos today, some picture I took a while ago from something, and it was talking about the name of level of your emotion, the energetic frequency, the associated emotional state, and the view of life. So I was just kind of looking at it from the bottom up, and for me, just the way that my mind works and how things go, I thought I'd give it a chance to just read it out loud the way that I see it. All right, we'll start with the first one with the lowest frequency, which is shame, which basically is saying I've been humiliated and I feel miserable, which makes me feel guilty, which means then I start to blame and I start to find evil things, which creates an apathy and a despair and hopelessness. And then I have to grieve from all those feelings that I just had. So it makes me feel anxiety, and I feel like things are frightening around me, which then would make my body want to desire something different. And it would help me to start looking for things that I should crave, I guess, to keep simulating the way I was just feeling, which could be disappointing. So then you start going through the anger, because you realize that you're getting more of the thing that you didn't want in the first place because you're looking for something disappointing. And so you start to feel hateful, and then you start to become antagonistic about all those other emotions that fall below you that you were just feeling into. And then at some point, as you see this, you'll start to feel like you need to have a little bit more pride. Like, I can't let all those other things that I've been blaming control me. So you start to feel scorned by this. Like, look what all these people have done to me. I'm demanding that I am going to move in the right direction. This is going to happen. So then you kind of start to begin courage, which is crazy, right? Because you think pride, right? Scorning and demanding. But sometimes that's for yourself. That is your higher self going, wait, stop. Things are not working right. You are creating and casting doubt upon yourself over and over again and having to restart over and over again from the very bottom here. Or you're just moving up and down the wrong ladder. So I start to feel a little courageous, and I start giving myself some affirmations that might help me feel a little bit more positive in the day. And this neutrality is something that you trust because it's from within you. Because you've already went into the depth, into the dark red part of what it is you didn't like. You've moved your way up and out of that hole, and you trust yourself. And so you're starting to feel a little bit more satisfactory with what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And you're starting to see your own willingness to be optimistic and hopeful to yourself, which creates an acceptance within yourself that creates a forgiveness, and which adds to being a little bit more harmonious. And in this forgiveness part, remember, we have to give to ourselves to receive from ourselves so that we can give to another to receive from another. Like, you've got to be at your whole place before you can really have a true interaction from your higher self with another in a higher energetic frequency. And so forgiveness is such a beautiful way to start that place, to move into the harmony that you're trying to get into. And so the forgiveness you have to say to yourself as your own mother inside of you that you've created for yourself by putting yourself through all this birth of you in your own right, in your own way, in your own being. I forgive you. And you accept that forgiveness to move into a better harmony. And that forgiveness will go to all people because you are going to find what you meet. And so as you find this forgiveness within yourself, and then, the father, the maker version, the hand version of you now feels more harmonious because it accepts this as a reason to understand the meaningful love and reverence of being still and joyful, to find all of the serenity and the completeness that you really have in your life. And in this you find some peace, which puts you in a state of bliss because things feel perfect. You are enlightened. You are ineffable. You are what is. You are your whole being. See how much quicker it starts to go? That's why you go up by, 10 and then it goes hot, a little more and a little more and a little more. But you got to get past those beginning places to really work yourself into a mindset of being able to forgive and let go so you can be in the harmony that your body wants you to be in. If it didn't want you to be in that, you wouldn't have gone through all that other stuff. And we like to put a name and we want to put a label behind it. And, we have a thises and the that's, To me, that's just an idea of polarity within itself which is like seeing red. It's looking for a fight. It's like, I'm right or are you right? Well, we're all right. We're all right. We're all trying to figure some shit out, right? We all got shit that another person doesn't know. We all perceive things in a very unique way that's individual just to us. And how can you expect another person to understand that? Now, if you want to put a label on that, teach a class, share some wisdom, as I am right now, then you can do that. But this helps me the most. And if another finds something beneficial from it, then fuck yeah, I'm doing the right thing. I am following the work that I'm laid out to have. And that gives me that much more of my being back to me, knowing that everything that I went through was for this exact moment where I am right now. And no matter what I did or what anybody else did to me, through forgiveness, I am able to let go enough to be able to join in to the joy, to the peace, to the understanding, to all these other ways that I oftentimes will think, that's my old way. I really thought that. I've done this before. And I mean, that's why this is a synchronicity of my own thoughts and expansion. Being in a place where I can stay in that place of understanding. That's not an old me. It's a version of me I'm walking through. It's a wave that I might be riding to make sure that I get to this place that I know exists inside of me. I know that there was before I went through all my awakenings with this, the leader in me that developed itself through different jobs and in my life that I had prior to this. That's how I was. That is what made sense to me. And it was empathy, right? And it didn't play me well, but I had to work through seeing through all that red to be able to see how to really get past the point of the empathy where I'm giving it away versus when I am able to contain it within me, to provide the joy and the peace by my presence and by my way of being. Now, I like to give people a lot of advice. When I'm out, I like to be able, and I know sometimes half the things I say might leave a person going, huh? Or it might go, wow, I never thought of it that way. That last thing I said, I get that a lot. That is when I know, like, I'm being me right now. And usually I don't have to try for that. It just happens. It just flows out. And, that's the biggest thing. It's like sometimes the harder I try to control or understand the way that I'm feeling, the more a little lost and disconnected I get from who I already was. So this is a moment for me of growing that I want to share because I have to go through these things, these affirmations, to be able to pull myself back into the place that I need to be at. I started this with a particular topic of something I was going through, and I was trying to utilize the feelings I had for this thing into this chart. And, I mean, you can, anytime you're hung up on something, this is a great way to be able to look at it and say, okay, here's the deal. Like, I need to be able to focus in on what is the most important thing to me right now so that I'm able to still apply the best version of me to making the most coordinated and sound decision that I can. I often feel like I'm out saving the world right now with the way that I will think things through, to a point where I have to be like, girl, you already saved your world. You just have to remember you're there. So this is one of those pieces I think is really great to share with other people so that they have another way of being able to, use something else. I mean, meditation is great, and yoga. I mean, there's so many different things you can do, and people find many ways to find this. I was a very joyful kid. I had a lot of energy in me. This was easy for me to find. And I went through things in my life that created a lot of ways that my brain would tailspin in the wrong direction, trying to save, trying to pinch, trying to, move myself backwards instead of looking at how to continue to move forwards with my own creativity and with my own knowledge. And so I'm excited to be able to find this spark in me right now, but I'm also aware that the best place for me to probably stay for a while, and this is where I think you would rest, is in that being, that I am place. So when people tell you that you need to rest, I mean, that's really a lot of it. It's like, I am who I am, and that's all that I am, and that's what I'm going to be. And what another person thinks of me is really none of my business. And although my ability to be empathetic allows me to channel into what another person's feeling and their emotions, it's not something that I have to take on as my wave. I can notice the energy. I can see that it's there. I can observe that, and then I can make a wise choice from there, whether it be what I say or where I move or what I do next. And it should be very intuitive to you too, if you've gone through this cycle as many times as I have. Many times. And it's like, I can't forget this. Because it feels so good to let go, and it feels so good to truly love yourself and to pat yourself on the back, not wait for another person to pat you on the back. Because see, that's the other place where I could get myself lost, is waiting for another person to give me the acknowledgement and to pat me on the back and say, good job, keep going. And I get lost there because playing sports and working for, hospitality industries, restaurants, dealing with, trying to make sure the employees are as happy as the guests are happy. And then, you forget to make yourself happy. So, I mean, it became so natural for me to not navigate back to me. So in my awakening, I had to go back through all these things to find me in there. And it did create a lot of turbulence for me emotionally. But it was necessary. I had to do it. I had to walk through those things. The bear hunt, right? You can't go over it. You can't go under it. You got to go through it. Whew, But you get to the other side and you're like, okay, look at me. I'm hugging myself. I'm patting myself on the back. I'm able to give myself the true love that it is that I require and that I need. And I don't have to be scornful, and I don't have to think something's out to get me or it's watching or lurking on me. And I'm, that was me looking at me going, wrong way. You're creating more of what you don't want. Because if I live in that bottom area, what kind of world is it that's going to be feeding off of my energy? And how is it going to make them feel? And, that's interesting, right? I mean, it's a growth place, perhaps. But at some point in time, you're like, bleh. I'm done doing that. So I'm going to walk into the room, and I'm going to drive in my car, and I'm going to show up wherever I show up as me being me. And you can meet me at my version, or perhaps maybe you'll get some wisdom, because I get where you're at. I get where you're at. I've been there before. And it can sound like whatever it wants to another person, because I won't be there right then. I choose not to be there right then, in fact, because I've already been there. But I can show you empathy and understanding for what you're going through to not allow you into my field so that you can take care of your own field and rectify things for your own being. And you can stand in your whole being just by me not intervening myself over to you. But I had to do that. I had to do it for a while to know how to do it for myself. So it's self-empathy that starts to happen. And you do give the love out. It does come out. You can't not. You can't go from being a person like that naturally to then never returning to that. But you have to make sure you give to yourself. And so you can receive from yourself so then you can give to another. And it's a back and forth process. And I'm not sure if it's like I give to myself so that you can receive it. Sure, I guess so. If I'm giving to myself and I'm walking in the room and I'm lovely and joyful, I'm going to make an impression. And somebody can grab onto that and roll with it and they can go, why? Or somebody can look at it and be like, what's her problem? Or why is it? It ain't none of my business, whatever they do. But, it's an option. It's an opportunity of an energetic exchange, an electric frequency that's going to make you wonder what direction it is that you're walking in. But I will 100% explain that I'm so joyful to go through this message right now and to have found this picture that I had in my phone from I don't even know when, 2 years ago, I think. And, talk about a synchronicity. This is how, I've never lost those synchronicities because there's many things I've done over these years to try to provide myself with as much of a supported lifestyle I could for myself. And you start to see that everything's been leading you in the direction you're supposed to be at. And once you see that, it's really hard to go back into red because you're like, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Why would these synchronicities be happening otherwise? And, by synchronicities, they also have to be for my benefit. So, again, going through this the last couple of years, that's the part I had to realize is they weren't for my benefit. They were for the benefit of everybody around me. Because there were many people that were quite aware that that's what was happening. They got what they got. They took it. They made something for themselves in it. And they started to create their own arc with it, with my energy, which is cool to watch a lot of people picking up on the things that I walked in the room with that were good and being able to expand on it. But it was not cool because I wasn't using my own energy to be able to create for myself first. It felt. See, that's me taking me down into the red, right? But I was still creating it because here I am. I never could forget that. And every time I fall down, I come back bigger and brighter and ready to talk and to share so much information that I have acquired over specifically these last like 3 years of really going through the most. I've had the opportunity to be able to engage myself and learning how to self-love and connect my self-love to the empathy and love that I had for everybody else so that I can be in a place of love. So you can yingity-yangity that all you want, but in the end of the day, there's a kind of a little bit of a space in between of just being. It's not a space in between. It is love, and there's love on both sides. And then I make a rainbow too, but that's a whole nother conversation we can talk about another day. But I don't know, like I said, how this message might meet you or find you or help you. I really, really, truly hope it serves you in the beautiful ways that it has served me over the years. So many awesome mentors I've had who have helped guide and lead me physically and in all kinds of ways to find out how to really get to myself. It takes a lot for a person to get to a place of self-love. And when you are empathetic and you're watching somebody working through that, you start, working with them for it too. And you're telling somebody else's story and you're like, wait, what about mine? Ugh. Like genuinely, I've always trusted myself in knowing that my higher self and my heart are so big and they're so loving and they so want to do the right thing. And my messages don't come like, this is what works for me. That's how they come. This is what's working for me. And if it helps another, then that's awesome. But these are lessons I've had to learn enough times to realize I should be speaking about these processes as I go through them, because just talking and getting it out usually pulls me in the right direction. So thank you so very much for tuning in and listening this far in. And if you like what you heard, please subscribe, like the video. I know that this is something that I should be doing. This is the stage I'd like to start on. And I am grateful. Thank you. Peace.
Tell me the truth. Why? Why? Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth.
What?
Tell me the truth.
Me? Don't put me in anything. I'm just chilling. I'm down with Mary Poppins. I've been down with Mary Poppins.
Tell me the truth.
See, the Mary Poppins are Cloak and Dagger. I think everyone will like Cloak and Dagger. But Mary Poppins is Fliss.
It's true.